The New York Post announces the big news, a baby with 3 dads. This is supposed to be a historic first, a major milestone in human history. And it certainly would be if there actually existed a baby with 3 actual fathers. Turns out, and this is no surprise to the dwindling minority with a rudimentary grasp of basic human biology, that the child merely has a birth certificate with the names of 3 dudes written on it. Here's the Post with the details. It says, a gay polyamorous California throuple made history in 2017 when they became the first family in the state to list 3 parents on a birth certificate. Their reproductive journey and legal battle to become fathers to Piper, now 3, is detailed in 3 Dads and a Baby, written by one of her dads, Dr. Ian Jenkins. Jenkins and his partners, Jeremy Hodges and Dr. Alan Mayfield, don't see their family, which now also includes their son, Parker, as unusual. Well, of course, it is by definition unusual. It's not possible for a thing to make history and not be unusual. Indeed, unusual is the most polite and measured thing that I can say about this particular arrangement. But more from the Post. It says, Jenkins met Mayfield, a psychiatrist, while they were completing, so maybe I should tell you a little something about the psychiatry industry. Well, anyway, he met a psychiatrist while they were completing their medical residencies in Boston. The two were together for 8 years when Hodges, who works at a zoo hospital, came into the picture. Although their relationship with Hodges began as a friendship, things quickly turned romantic. After 5 years of throupledom, the trio started seriously discussing parenthood when friends offered to donate their leftover embryos to them. Leftover embryos. Isn't it inspiring to hear human life referred to this way? Like it's a slab of meatloaf sitting in a Tupperware container in the fridge. I got some leftover embryos. Let me go grab them. I think I got a couple in the trunk. I'll go take a look. As it turns out, the leftover embryo, i.e. human life, wasn't viable. And the next attempt also didn't take. So they took several tries, just tossing out the embryos. No big deal, it's just human life. Finally, a helpful friend gave them some of her eggs, which were then fertilized in a laboratory and implanted in the uterus of another friend. Meanwhile, some fancy footwork was performed with the help of lawyers and tens of thousands of dollars of legal fees. And then presto changeo, just like magic, a child with 3 dads was born, which is to say, a child with one father, a mother she'll never know, who was conceived in a petri dish, brought to term in a rented uterus, and placed in the care of 3 men who immediately set out to monetize her existence with a self-congratulatory memoir, was born. Tomato, tomato, I suppose. If you're feeling not terribly excited about our new and improved society where babies can have 3 dads and no mom, that's because you're a normal and sane person. As a normal and sane person, the whole thing probably seems to you rather, unnatural, disordered. You likely have the impression that the interests of the children aren't being taken much into account here. Sure, the men feel great about their dad trio, but their emotional needs aren't the primary concern of normal and sane people. We're worried about the children, who are being treated more as fashion accessories than human beings. To respect their humanity is to acknowledge that children need mothers too. It is an absurd and damnable idea that the role of the mother can be adequately replaced just by adding more dads into the equation. I'm still not exactly sure what the exchange rate is. Like you so you have one dad, that equals a dad, and then you've got 2 dads, that equals a mom. So is it each dad equals one mom? I mean, how does it work exactly? Add 4 more dads and you have 2 moms, a dad. But if adding dads is the plan, why stop at 3? Why not 4 dads? 4 dads, 5 dads, 6 dads, 7. It's beginning to sound like a creepy children's book that I'm sure somebody will eventually write. This is not a rhetorical question. It's something we really need to think about because the floodgates are officially open and have been for some time. Once society moves away from the nuclear family, not just in practice, but in a categorical denial that it is the ideal family structure at all, then there's no remaining boundary, no limiting principle. This is where the so-called slippery slope argument comes in, and it's why those who warn about slippery slopes are usually proven correct, even as the left laughs and guffaws at the whole notion that perhaps sometimes one thing might lead to another. I mean, they call something a slippery slope argument as if simply labeling it slippery slope is enough to debunk it. It's not. Yes, oftentimes slopes are slippery. Oftentimes one thing leads to another. The point with the slippery slope is that when you tear down a boundary without any idea as to where to rebuild it, or you get rid of a word's definition without even a suggestion as to what its new definition ought to be, then you have, obviously, that it would seem by design, sent this new boundaryless, undefinable thing tumbling into insanity and incoherence. You haven't actually moved the boundary or changed the definition of the thing, but simply destroyed it. As I've observed many times, this is the process playing out right now with respect to gender. We're told that the word woman no longer means adult human female, which is what it meant since the dawn of time. So what does it mean? If it's not that, then what is it? Those who seek to erase the word's traditional definition have, it turns out, no plans for giving it a new one. They don't seek to promote a new or expanded concept of womanhood, but to annihilate the very concept itself. It is not really a slope, but a free-fall plunge into obliteration. Each new stage in our moral and logical descent is predictable and inevitable. If our biological identity has no meaning and can be changed on a whim, then the same will be done with age and race and every other aspect of our identity. It's not a question of if. It will happen. It is already beginning to happen, because there's no reason why it wouldn't happen. Now that the precedent has been set and the logical and moral barriers preventing it from happening have been removed. And so with marriage and family, it's the same. We have seen 3 men call themselves dad. Soon, that's not going to be the strangest or most disturbing combination. Give it enough time, and even the self-professed conservatives will be defending the 3-dad concept as valid and equal, while maybe offering polite pushback to the newer, 4 dads and 3 sex robots family units. I wish I was exaggerating, but this is the path that we put ourselves on when we moved away from the mother-father nuclear family structure. We had it right the first time. That was right. Everything after that is wrong. And once you give up on that, there is no end. The truth is that every child needs and deserves both a mother and a father. We have to preserve that, or preserve nothing. There is no middle option. There is no compromise with moral insanity. You either fight it with all you have on every field of battle, never giving it a single inch, or you surrender and let it have its way with the culture. And we have obviously in this culture made our choice, and we chose very poorly. Well, I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Matt Walsh Show. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right down there so you can stay up to date on all of our future content.